Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 160 of the Civil Gore podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
And this is Brian, and I know it's going to come to you a little late this week, but it was because we had so much in this episode, as you'll soon hear, and we had our ridiculously sized dismemberment. I know we said double sized, but I think it was more like triple sized.
Yeah, we had to do a little switcheroo, but you're still getting both episodes you would have gotten this week, just out of order.
Yeah, and this episode is a doozy. We had one of just an absolutely incredible interview. With the movie we're going to talk about is Hosts with an S. Make sure you hear that S. Because this summer, because it's 2020, everything's going to be confusing. I mean, there's two movies named Alone. I mean, what do you do? But but we had a great interview with the directors Richard Oakes and Adam Leader, and two of the stars, Neal Ward and Samantha Loxley, and that's going to come up shortly. And I think you're going to love that. We had the best time. Poor Tim, though. I swear to God, I think everyone should just pause this podcast, stand up, and clap audibly. Clap for Tim for editing an hour and 40 minutes worth of content.
Yeah, it was a crazy interview. I mean, we had to do some creative editing because there was some spoiler stuff we couldn't talk about. Right. Now, I will give you a warning at the head of the episode. This interview does have some light spoilers in terms of general ideas. You won't really know what they are out of context. But if you don't want to know anything about the movie, I would suggest you watch the movie first before listening to the interview. But there are no explicit, scene-by-scene spoilers in the interview at all. We tried to keep it high level. And
believe me, we wanted to talk about it. We did. That's some of the stuff Tim had to cut out, actually, because we did want it. We talked to them about that, those specific scenes. But now it's what's good is by the time you're listening to this, the VOD is available. You can watch it on iTunes. I think it's available on Prime. Pretty much all the VOD ones. So, so I might as well get right into, I guess, everything. Right, get this show going because you have a nice packed interview coming up.
That's right. All right, so guys, this is our first chop. All right, Brian. Well, I didn't have much to mention in here in our first chop other than I'm going full steam on the horror movie challenge. You guys may have seen me posting my reviews. I'm posting a little bit lengthier reviews on Facebook, and then I'm posting my blurbs on Twitter. I'm not doing a whole lot of Instagram, but Brian is. So if you see the ones on Instagram, he's doing a great job with those. So we're just trying to kind of tag team and give you both the ideas of what kind of movies we're watching. I don't generally give away which challenges I'm satisfying with each movie.
Yeah,
but,
I do though.
Brian does, but I'm not giving you guys any hints because I'm mean that way. So it's been a lot of fun so far. I've watched, I think so far out of the 5 films I've watched, it's been a mixed bag. It's been either pretty good or pretty bad, and there hasn't been anything that's really blown me away yet. Although there has been some interesting, eye-opening trivia and stuff I've read about some of these films. If you go look at my blurb on Planet of the Vampires, which I thought was just going to be this throwaway 50s cheesy, or 60s, I should say, 60s cheesy throwaway movie, and I didn't realize what an influence it had on later films like Alien and even X-Men. So go read about that movie. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I think I might do something similar to that. I think I'm going to take notes. I don't know if I'll do it as in depth as you do. Maybe I'll do like a weekly one or something. But I do know for a wrap-up show, we usually like to talk about some of our favorites. I mean, I've seen some mixed ones this year, because I'm trying to get all the objectives. So I didn't pick exactly some of them are not what you would say the cream of the crop. But I mean, they are horror movies, and it's in October, and you're watching a horror movie in October. What's better than that, really?
That's right.
But yeah, I've been watching a bunch of stuff too on top of that, because I watched there was a screener. I meant to talk about this last week. I'll just briefly discuss it this week. We got a screener. It was No Escape, which was, it's funny because when I started to watch it, I had this flashback of a familiarity, and I'm like, what is this? Why do I know this? And why I know it was because when we were way back in January trying to do our 2020 preview, this movie came up as it was called No Escape, and there were like 18 No Escapes, but it was also listed as Escape Room 2, which it really I don't think it was really, but it was like a lot of confusion to try and figure out what this movie was in order to set the preview up. But who would have known? Like 7-8 months later, we get the trailer for we get the screener for it. So watch that, and actually it was pretty fun. It was actually I have not seen the first Escape Room, but I mean it's similar. If you've seen Saw, you kind of get those ideas of what this is. But this one's a little bit different in terms of the plot, where it's basically this guy, he's a YouTuber, and he's one of those YouTubers that are like hit like millions and millions of followers, and his whole life is just like what kind of content he could give out there. And it's his birthday, so his girlfriend and some of his friends decide they're surprising him, and they're going to take him to the most extreme challenge, because that's his shtick, is that he does these incredible extreme challenges and never backs down from anything. So they can basically surprise him. So they take him over to Moscow, and supposedly he's being set up for the ultimate, most intense escape room ever, and that's where I'll leave it.
I like the premise.
The rest. Yeah, no, the premise is actually kind of cool. I like that. It's kind of like there's definitely a little bit of Hostel vibe. There's a little Saw in there. There's a little bunch of other things. But it's actually the cast is pretty fun in it. So I definitely recommend that one. It's actually on. I think you can now. It's out available for everyone. I see it. I see the image of it. It's a cool poster art actually for it on iTunes. It's like this girl kind of trapped behind this like water, she's trapped in like a water thing. So but yeah, no, if you like escape rooms and like Saw movies, like where they're trying to solve stuff, this is kind of cool. And it's kind of it's done in that really like frenetic YouTube style a lot of the time, so to kind of keep with the theme. So that was good. I managed to even get my Amityville project still going with Amityville New Generation, which is kind of interesting because this is like, it was like grabbing like every 80s star they could, and this was in 92 though, or 93 I think this was made. Yeah, this is 93 because the other one was 92, It's About Time. So this is 93. This one's got David Naughton in it, Richard Roundtree. It's got I forgot her name, Barbara Howard. She was in Friday the 13th Final Chapter. If people will recognize her. There's Terry O'Quinn, who of course makes that line where he calls Amityville upstate New York, which it is not. But
come on, Terry O'Quinn. I like him, but that's unforgivable.
I was kind of bummed, but Lynn Shay's in it, so it's got a really fun cast in this one. And actually, I didn't hate it. I did not hate it. I mean, sure, was it cheesy and silly multiple times, and was it predictable 100%? But still, it's a good entry into that haunted object series. This time, it's a mirror that comes from the Amityville house. So there's a lot of cool references back and forth. So I mean, it's you're on par, I think, at non-original Amityville story. So this one, it was actually pretty enjoyable. So that one, I remember that was the one on our disc memory when we saw the trailer for. So but you might like this one, Tim. This one's kind of got a cool 80s horror plot vibe, if that makes sense. Haunted mirror kind of.
I'll definitely check it out. I mean, I'm going to watch all these at some point.
Yeah. So the last thing I have is I want to go into is for Amanda. She goes by Living Dead Girl 87 on Twitter. She's a huge horror fan. I think she does stuff with Bloody Disgusting and Dread Central. She writes for all of them, I believe. But anyway, she had a picture she posted on Twitter of Death Wish coffee, cauldron aged pumpkin. So I was like, I actually tweeted, I said, how is it? And she said, oh, it's really good. So I went and tried it. I always wanted to try Death Wish coffee. I ordered it. It was a good deal because I think you get, when you first order, you get a percentage off. And I got it about a week. Super, super good pumpkin coffee. Let me tell you, it's good, strong pumpkin flavor into the coffee, but not where it's overwhelming, where it tastes fake. It's just a really, really good, strong coffee. So if you like your strong coffee and you like pumpkin coffee, then definitely try Death Wish, the cauldron aged pumpkin.
Well, I just ordered, I haven't gotten it yet, but I will give you guys a review as soon as I do. I ordered the Jack-O-Lantern from Bones Coffee, which is their pumpkin coffee version, and that's the one I have that cool orange mug of that I absolutely love, my favorite coffee mug. That has the logo, but I've never actually tried the coffee, so this is my chance to put Jack-O-Lantern coffee in my Jack-O-Lantern mug.
Nice.
And post it on Instagram and hashtag Bones Coffee.
Yes, and hopefully they will like that and get us moving. Oh, and yes, also I had ordered forgot that I wanted to get an espresso pods for my espresso machine. I wanted to get some pumpkin for that, for a pumpkin espresso, but the version I have is the older version. It's and they don't make the pumpkin in that kind of pod. So I had to find an off-brand, which actually wasn't bad. It was called Gourmesso, and they're actually got a really good deal. I think you get for like $5, you get 12 pods, and I got pumpkin spice, and so I'm gonna order again because actually it's like the flavor of the week. So if you guys have the older Nespresso machines, try Gourmesso. That's good. I feel like we're an ad company.
We are not an ad-supported podcast.
No,
but
this is not.
We
In fact,
like to talk about the things we love. So
yeah, and that we spent money on to kind of validate it, I guess. But yeah.
So not only does our podcast lose money, we do advertising for free. Apparently,
free. I know. It's like we're the worst business model on the planet. We really are.
So before we get into our interview with the host guys and gals, we are going to talk about the movie a little bit because I think it'll give you some context going into the interview. So of course, this is Host. It came out this year. Hosts with an S, as we joke about in the interview. Yeah. Directed by Adam Leader and Richard Oakes, starring Neal Ward as Jack, Nadia Lahman as Lauren. Hopefully I pronounced that. If I didn't, I apologize, Nadia. Frank Jakeman as Michael, Jennifer K. Preston as Cassie, Samantha Loxley as Lucy, Buddy Skelton as Ben, and Lee Hunter as Eric. A family fall victim to a series of violent murders when they invite their neighbors over for Christmas dinner. And this one, on its surface, is one of those movies that we've actually covered some movies like this earlier this year, like The Beach House, where you have an intimate setting, it's a relatively small cast, and something creepy goes on. And it's a great format for a horror movie because you can do it in a low-budget way, but you can still make an exceptionally good movie out of it, which is what happened in this case. And this one really blew me away. There was scenes in here that we'll get into without giving any spoilers that were some of the most crazy scenes I've seen in a couple years at least.
Oh yeah,
easily. And it was just so effective. The cast was so good. It doesn't have any of the feel of a low budget indie movie. It really feels highly produced, and I can't say enough good things about it. It just has a very super creepy vibe, and I think if you guys have not seen it yet, you're absolutely going to love it.
Yeah, no, and this has like some. I mean, for me at least, I think this is going to be some performances and some sequences and scenes specifically, which we cannot go into to spoil. These are going to be some of these ones that you're going to talk about. Like I could see it being GIFs. I could see it being like little memes about it. And I think what's so key is, though, I mean, some of those scenes I think could have been like almost laughed off if they weren't done so expertly by the cast and and the setting that the directors created. And you hear us talk about that in there. I mean, but that's what's anything really, if you think about it. Any kind of horror or movie, no matter what, if it's not played right or set up right, whatever you try and get across just doesn't come across properly.
Right.
But when it mixes, when you have a perfect setting like they did with this, with the scenery and with the camera work and just with the tone, and then mix it with just an exceptional cast, you get what you have here. And that's why it's like, and I mean, I know if you've been following us, I mean, we've been tweeting this. I've been retweeting promos for this and like little comments on it, and it's because it's that good, and I want people to enjoy it. I want people to see it so I could talk with them about it because it's it's like when I only have Tim to talk about with, it's kind of gets old. No offense, Tim, but we love to talk to fellow horror fans too. So that's why I cannot wait until more people see this and more people get what we get at. And I think the majority of horror fans will get the same impact that it had on us. Now, maybe your average movie-going fans may not find that, and then again, it's like some people just have this thing against horror. But I mean, if you were a horror fan and you go into this movie, I can't fathom you not coming out of it being super impressed and blown away, at least in some capacity, if not all of it, like we were.
Yeah, well, it has feel of a lot of movies that I have seen coming out in the past couple years, which is, to me, it's horror taken to a new level. It's gone way beyond the typical slasher, cheesy stereotypes. I mean, there's this new level of horror that you've seen out of different directors, and some people don't like to say that there's a difference in horror. I've heard people say they don't like the artsy tag applied to horror, but there is a clear delineation between something like Wrong Turn, which I absolutely love, but it's just a fun kind of crazy slasher, and then a movie like Hereditary or Midsummer or The Witch, which is in a whole different league. And I'm not saying one's better than the other per se, but I'm saying there's a clear difference in style between those two types of horror. And Hosts tends to fall into that latter category, and I really enjoy those films. I like them in a different way than I like some of the other type of just kind of run-of-the-mill slasher types. So I really liked that it had that vibe to it. And as I will go through in the interview, there's a lot of scenes in here that, just like Brian was saying, they just played well on the screen, even though I could not put my finger on why they creeped me out. I couldn't tell you in words why this scene unsettled me, but there was something about the way the directing was, the cinematography, the performances. It all just kind of gelled into this magical, like, uneasy feeling. And I really, really like that. I love when a movie can evoke those kind of feelings in me and not be able to put it into words exactly why. That to me, that's a sign of a really good horror movie.
Oh yeah, no, and this one, I mean, this one definitely checks off the boxes. I think for me, all of them that I look for in a horror movie, like, and not just plot wise or specific things it does, but more of specific kind of like what you said, to piggyback on that, like things it elicits from me, like wow, I'm like, I'm uneasy in that spot, that's creepy, or oh god, that's look at that, any kind of like these reactions that I have from it. To me, there's like this almost internal check list that I like in it, and this one had all of them in it, and I think that's why I liked it so much. And you know what, it's like people. It's so funny because I'm sure people are like, why they keep tweeting about it? But it really is true. It's because we both love this movie a lot, and we want to, make sure that people get to see it, because I think it'll be a fun movie to discuss, like, with other horror fans. This is a fun discussion movie, like that. You could you see in like movies where like people go after they'll see something, they'll be hanging out in a diner discussing the movie they just saw, stuff like that. Like that's, I think that now obviously with the world as it is, you're not really going into diners anymore or out to theaters, but you can watch a movie on a VOD and then talk about it with your friends, and either in chat rooms or whatnot. I mean, we still got to set up that Discord. We need to finish that Discord set up so we can get everybody in there and really start talking about this stuff, because it works so well. We have a ball in the Sammy Stay Alive Maybe Facebook group. So this will be another thing we could do Discord-wise. We can have everyone come in there and do some, chatting about horror films. We'll make some fun channels with specific styles of horror films. It'll be cool. So we'll get that. Really cool. We'll try and finalize that in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and the other thing, I think that why we kind of go a little nuts when we find a movie like this that we really like is because Brian and I watch so much horror. We're watching. I mean, how many horror movies do you think you watch a week, Brian? I mean, at least probably God. On a slow week, probably at least 3 or 4.
Yeah. I mean, this is not the greatest week to go with our horror challenge in full effect.
This one is going to be heavy. But, we watch a lot of horror. So when a film comes along that, like, affects us in a certain way, or it has a really cool scene that we're texting each other about, like, oh my god, did you see this? We just get excited about it because when you see that when you're watching that many horror films, the ones that stand out you get really excited about, and that's kind of why we get so excited and passionate about the ones that we really like. And we've been fortunate. I know you guys are probably like, well, they like every movie, because every movie we've done almost this year, it seems like we've just gushed about, but I think the good
movies come to us. That's what it is.
I think it is. Well, I think it's just I think the quality of filmmaking, television, everything has just gone exponentially great over the past several years, and you've got such a flood of talent in that industry now that there's almost everything is at least acceptable, and there's a lot that's really, really good. It's not like it used to be where it was diamonds in the rough. Now it's like mostly diamonds, and you got to kind of search through them. So so that's kind of why we're kind of just so excited about these movies that come along that do something different that we really enjoy.
Yeah, and this one, and then we'll we'll move to the beer pairing after this. But one of the cool things how you said, like, how we text each other about it. I still remember when you first, because you had watched this right before I did, and I remember you texting me. You're like, oh my god, I really love this one. I cannot wait to talk to the directors. I didn't even realize that was being set up. I had totally missed that little, like, who we were interviewing. I just saw that it said they were sending it. And then when I'm like, oh my god, that's awesome, because when we see a movie like this, we of course we'd love to find out as much as we can. And then we got, like, as the interview progressed, we ended up getting Neal and Samantha to they joined up on it and made it even extra special because we got two of the main cast in it there. Now it's like and it's funny because we've been talking to Nadia a little bit on through social media too, and just telling her what a good job she did and everything in it too, and she's super grateful and always so kind words back to us and stuff. So the cast is I think was a bonus to get be able to talk to too. So we got really lucky that when we find a movie that we love so much and then we get to talk to so many people from it, really cool.
Yeah, so guys, we are going to roll our almost hour-long interview with the guys from Host. We interviewed Adam Leader, Richard Oakes, Neal Ward, who played Jack, and Samantha Loxley, who played Lucy. And it was such a fun conversation. We were just hanging out, having beers over Zoom. It was a blast, and I think it's going to come across in the interview how much fun these guys were. So enjoy this interview, and we will pick it back up right after this.
2020 has been an interesting year, to say the least. For the horror community, however, we continue to get amazing new films. One of those films is called Hosts, which we both really enjoyed. So with us to discuss this amazing new film are directors Adam Leader and Richard Oakes, and stars Neal Ward and Samantha Loxley. So welcome to the show, guys.
How you doing?
Hey.
Thanks for having us.
Hopefully I pronounced everyone's name right. It's kind of a signature on the show that we pronounce it wrong, but so I apologize though.
You got them all right, I think
you got them all right, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I thought you might call me Samuel for a moment. If you do, that's okay.
No, I definitely got yours right. So hopefully we're good there. But so thanks for coming on. This is exciting because we really loved the film. So
yeah, the movie was amazing, guys. It was again, we can't go into spoilers, but
yeah, this is
I already want to get into spoilers, but
this is
in terms of intense scenes and just freaking me out. This was one of the top I've seen in the last several years, probably, in terms of certain scenes. It was fantastic.
Like, I'd be with you on that one.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So before we get into the movie, though, we kind of always let our listeners know a little bit about who we're interviewing. If they're not familiar with your work, some of the projects and stuff that you guys have worked on. And I guess we could just kind of go around the room. So start with Richard and Adam, some previous projects that people may have seen before.
Well, going back, I was actually a bin man. Used to pick up rubbish for a living, and I think Dark Sky hopefully haven't done the same thing.
Yes.
But I had no education in film and stuff like that. But it was something I was passionate about. So I decided to start doing music videos because I thought it was an easier way in. But the goal was always to end up with feature films. So I've done 3 previous projects as a DOP because I'm a passionate DOP, but this is our debut as directors and writing. The projects I've done before is 24 Little Hours in London, Homeless Ashes, and Point of No Return. They're the 3 films I've DOP'd before, and and then a lot of music videos for particular bands, especially in the metal industry, and that's where I met Adam. So nice. That's a nice lead-in for you, Adam.
I guess it is.
A nice leader-in.
I guess from like a super young age, both by being musical and kind of making my own horror films, with my friends from school. Like me and my friend Jem, and I hope this is okay to say, we would get super stoned every night and just make this crazy horror films. And the next day we'd bunk school and have all our friends come and we'd premiere the films to them. But yeah, like as I kind of got older, like I chose the music path first, and I started a band called In Search of Sun, which, by the way, we wrote the end credits song for this, and we're going to be releasing the music video on October the 9th. Sorry, I had to plug that.
Cool.
But yeah, in 2014, like we ended up by chance hiring Rich to shoot our music video for the first single of the first album. And then since then, Rich and I basically been best friends, and like just kind of shared like a mutual love for filmmaking, only to, I guess, lead us to finally get up and make our own. And come 2017, we'd written 2 films, one of them being Hosts, and we were kind of getting tired of being turned down and or not taken seriously by investors, you know, which is fair enough because we hadn't done anything before, and, you know, who would trust a bunch of nobodies that with their money? So we've kind of also been building this YouTube channel that kind of talked about filmmaking and teaching, and I tread lightly when I say teaching, but about cinematography and stuff. So we kind of put 2 and 2 together and thought, actually, why don't we ask our subscribers to invest in this film? And lo and behold, like we did, we put the word out there, and our board of investors for Hosts are a group of dedicated subscribers for our channel, and that's kind of who we are today.
That's really
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
And what about you, Neal and Samantha?
Ladies first, as always.
Oh, darling.
Yeah, darling, you go first. Yours will be way more interesting than mine.
I've just realised that Adam and I have turned up to this meeting in matching like colours.
I was gonna say.
Well, yeah, but I guess for me, sort of going way back to my teens, which is obviously 2 years ago. I'd always loved sort of drama and theatre, and always had kind of a bit of a passion for it, and I just loved it, especially silly things or ridiculous things. But I'd always all my family are medical. They're all working in the NHS or you know, the equivalent of in other countries. And I'd always been super interested in science. I was a massive geek at school. I always did all the sciences, and I always thought I was going to be a vet because I loved medicine. I just couldn't do it on a human. Ironic when it comes to this film, I guess. But so I'd done it all the way through to the end of school, and then it got to that point, and I realised that no, actually, this isn't a hobby. This isn't something that I want to do on the side. It's something that I'm like, no, this is what I'm gonna do. This is my thing. I have to do this. And I sort of had that pivotal moment. So I didn't become a vet, and then went on to do. So I did manage somehow. By some sort of like, I got into drama school and I did like classical training for like 3 years, but after that it was I mean, I've been very lucky. I've been able to carry on working as an actress, but it took me quite a long time to get away from the sort of like sort of model stereotype and the sort of cute girl next door, or just the commercial girl that walks on for a second and then walks off and smiles, you know what I mean? Like, it took me a very long time to sort of get taken a bit more seriously, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I was still getting some kind of work, but it wasn't really the stuff that has any longevity, do you know what I mean? They were like little jobs here and there, but they weren't anything sort of career building. And somehow last year I managed to get this job in my first ever feature film I'd ever done. It was super chaotic the entire time, and I finished it, and I think the end result will be great, but I was kind of like, wow, what the hell was that? You know? And then lo and behold, a month later, this really lovely actor called Neal Ward gets in touch with me. He says, hey, I've got something that might suit you. And that has led on to like the most amazing job I've ever done. So it took me so long to get out of to sort of break out of just being the face of something. But then when I did break out of being the face of something, apparently I'm terrifying. So, you know what? I'll take that. I'm happy with that.
You're not now, just there in the movie, but you know.
Just wait, babe.
Uh-oh. Tim, no. Sorry, you're up, Neal.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm still listening. Yeah, I mean, mine's a similar thing with to Sam's. Really, I think it's quite similar for a lot of actors or actresses across the world. Is we all sort of start in the similar boat of we need to train, we need to do this, and we need to finally get somewhere and start climbing the ladder. But I did start quite early, maybe 15 at school, and was originally doing woodwork. And then I found out the exam was about 6 hours long, and I was like, no, that can go away. My mate was like, you can come and do drama, and you just get to swear and shout at the teacher, and it's great. So I went, oh, I'll do that. That sounds good. So I started with that, and then I pretty much wasn't good at anything else after that. So I had to sort of stick at it. So there's it's been ups and downs over the years, but about 3 years ago, after sort of plowing through loads of different music videos or short films and sort of really like the extremely low budget, no budget features with sort of smaller parts, I managed to get on a quite a biggish film that went on to Netflix worldwide, which was Two Graves. So that's probably what it's all I'm known for, really, from anyone that watches any of my work. But I was pretty much on that came out like last year or the year and a half ago over there. So I was playing a lead role in that, and the director of that was Gary Young, who wrote Harry Brown. I don't know if the Americans are familiar with. Yeah, it's
wicked. Yeah.
Again, it's that typical British, like, gritty feel and very ultra real. So that's I managed to bag a lead role in that without any audition process or anything. So that was the claim to fame before these two wonderful gentlemen decided to stick me in this terrifying piece. So yeah, it's pretty much what I did.
Well, now whatever you guys did in the past, you are now like going to be known for this. I can guarantee it. I know the horror community the way they are. They are going to flip with this one, and this one is going to be like the thing right now. I can tell.
I feel like I've never had a tattoo before, but I've always thought I would get a dragon, but now I feel like somehow I need a hammer somewhere.
A verbal contract is binding on Zoom.
Yeah, after seeing this, I saw like our hammer like sitting on top of the tool thing, and I got a little nervous now. I can't look at hammers now the same way.
Yeah,
but we can't tell anyone why. We can't tell anyone why yet.
I was thinking so obviously this is all just like a audio recording. If I get it here.
Oh,
you can still hammer.
Yeah, you don't even need it then. It's like you do like a 3D thing and you just go, yeah, that's it. Okay, so let's get into Hosts. The story is absolutely fascinating to us. So this one's for Adam and Richard, actually. What how did you come up with this idea? What inspired you to come up with such a cool idea?
Well, by this point, Rich and I were, I guess we were best friends, and we'd established that we both wanted to. Well, we'd already written a film, but we realized that this particular film that we'd written, we'd want to do it on a bigger budget, and so we realized now it's time that we write a low budget film, something that we can do and to a good standard, but on a budget that is attainable for, I guess, essentially nobodies, like us. And before, I guess it kind of stemmed from an experience that I had that could sort of stem the idea. I was with my ex, who was just sitting at home, and all of a sudden she says, "What was that?" I'm like, "What?" And she said, "Oh, there's these blue lights outside the window in the garden." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Just there and in the garden, the bottom left, I saw these blue lights, or this blue light at the window." So I'm like, "Okay, I'll go check it out." So I walked into the kitchen, kind of scared. So I grabbed a knife and I went into the garden and checked, and nothing's there, because I'm still here today, so it's all good. But I came back inside, and I kind of thought, you know what, that would make for a really cool scene in a film. So it kind of got on the phone to Rich, and me and him storyboarded, just sort of roughly went through the entire film of scene ideas and this, that, and the other, and then I went away and I wrote the script, and yeah, here we are today.
I think there was a lot of inspiration in there from our favorite films. We kind of felt like it was a bit of a collage of homage in a way. Maybe not like super obvious, but there's a lot of things in there, whether it be props or like some of the scenarios and or the style of direction or the cinematography. A lot of it was inspired by things that we loved in horror films growing up, and we were like, can we get away with putting that in? It's like, yeah, because it's not a blatant rip, and we feel like it's more of a homage. It's a love letter to the horror films that we love, if you know what I mean. And
definitely.
So we kind of chucked it all into a big blender and came out and went, is that too messy? Is it too all over the shop? Or it is what it is, and it works. It's cool, and we built the story on it and added the layers of depth and that. And we love kind of having that deeper style. But we took a lot of inspiration from one thing that we do say is we're not a fan of the kind of the quick fix jump horror kind of stuff that's just like, and you're like, oh, it's his mate that's just knocked on the door, and you're like, I hate that stuff. That's just kind of unwarranted jumps, and you're just like, because anyone's going to kind of jump, but they're not really scared. It's just a natural reaction, and it's cheap. We feel so. We kind of wanted to do the opposite of jump scares in our film, which is the way kind of Tarantino works, but he doesn't really do horror. He does kind of thrillery kind of tension. But we wanted to kind of take that idea of, and the way he does stuff is he'll show you the threat and then carry on with the scene. With you, the audience have the knowledge of what's coming, but no one in the scene does. And that we find out. So it's like the opposite of a jump scare. It's telling you what's going to happen, but no one knows it's coming, and you get that, do you know what I mean? The audience get to sit there and at the edge of the table and kind of have a look under and go, oh. Whereas the characters don't, type of thing. And that's the kind of the angle we wanted to take. Obviously, there is a couple of jump scares, but we felt like they're kind of built up logically and they're real. I hate the fake jump scares.
They're necessary. The ones that are there are necessary. And yeah, like Rich said, and I think what was important to us was not only the tension and the long drawn out, revealing the threat at the beginning of the scene and this, that, and the other, but also establishing characters and relationships and not having a typical film, like not all of them, but a lot of films nowadays is just, oh, here's a guy or here's a girl and, oh, who are they? Don't even know their name, but they just got butchered. And like, you don't care about them. You're not invested in them. And that's what was really important to us when we were writing this film, was let's actually take our time for the audience to get to know and love the characters as much as we love the characters that we created. And what's amazing is, like, I have to hand it to all the cast, but Neal and Sam, in particular, like that, you love them in the beginning, you love them, and then you kind of hate them, but at the same time, you feel sorry for them the whole time. And that's for personally, I don't think that's down to the script. I think that's down to how good those two are as actors. I think they're incredible, and the rest of the cast are incredible too, but just for them to be able to essentially play two different characters each for the whole film is phenomenal. So props to you two. Like, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's 50-50, man. It's all in the writing, and then the acting comes if the writing's good, and it is.
Yeah,
but then to make the film, it's
for us if there was nothing to read from. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, and then everyone on the set, every cast crew member, it makes it all what it is in the end. So
yeah.
But yeah, thanks, Adam. Though, yeah, mate.
Well, actually, two things I want to say real quick before Tim gets the question. One, I know you've won Tim over without the cheap jump scares, because I always make fun of him because he jumps at everything.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the same. I do the same thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
He's the thing. But the one thing you said, I was so glad you said that, because I'm someone that usually finds, like, I'll always feel bad for characters in movies, even the villain a lot of times, because especially if a villain is written well, I feel like that, there's this pity on him. Like, I mean, even just like, let's take the classic villains like Jason. It's like, he didn't get there on it, just decided, you know what, I'm going to start killing anybody, And I think sometimes it's like, I think it's like, is it just me? Am I just being sympathetic? But in this one, I did feel like for Jack and Lucy's character, I know they, without trying to make any spoilers here, it's like when they did make their changeover, I'm like, didn't dislike them per se. You know, it wasn't a dislike. It was more of a shock.
We're freaking cool, that's why.
You are. You guys are awesome.
We were
That's
Jack and Lucy are cool.
I think we found that as well. It's like they're not the same, but there's something about them. I guess kind of reading it is different from doing it in person, but there was always another element, and I don't want to give any spoilers away about what happens, but for me, it was always like, Lucy's still there, but there's nothing you can do about it. I don't know if that's a spoiler or not.
I was going to say that's something
that
I find, that's something I really find a creepy idea. I mean, we don't really go into depth whether that is the case or not, but whether they're there behind the eyes, just trapped.
But power.
You know what I mean? I think that's quite a scary thought.
I think when writing it, that was definitely in mind for sure, because, and again, without giving away any spoilers, there is particular scenes with the two of you where there's so much malice coming out in, you know, on the surface of what your, you know, the bad side of you, you know, the entity that's got hold of you is saying, but the eyes tell it all, and you can see
the person still in there.
such sadness and sorrow from the person underneath that's just trapped and like can't get out, and it's just you guys, man.
And but as, like, when on the acting side of that, when you get given that, because often, you know, when you read a text, you have to get it under your skin and then bring it to life, or bring it to death in this sense. But having that sort of dichotomy of thought about this kind of thing, it really, really adds depth to something. And I think, as you were saying earlier, how sometimes characters can just be sort of a blank thing and they're just evil. It's like, no, they have to be 3D, and they have to be, you know, a real person. They have to walk and talk and eat and breathe. And when you have different things like that into the mix, that it doesn't necessarily make it easier, but it almost makes it like the words into like flesh. You know what I mean? That sounds horrible, but hey, we're talking about horror. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That it kind of just makes it into a being rather than something on the page that you're just reading out. And it's so all those questions go through my head, and I felt so bad.
Well, you guys touched on some of the stuff I was going to ask about. So, Brian, I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit, because when Adam was talking about that scene, a particular scene just a few minutes ago, that was so simple about just seeing something outside of a window, and I think that's when the movie first hooked me, because I was kind of watching it, and you're kind of getting to know these characters, and you're kind of getting lulled into this sense of, I put it in the question as a sense of complacency. And then this happened, and it was such a simple thing, somebody seeing something outside of a window, but it just sent chills through me. It was super, super creepy. And I've noticed that throughout the film is there's this kind of this ebb and flow of you getting lulled into kind of going one way, and then all of a sudden you're just kind of smacked with something horrific. And I was just kind of a question for Adam and Richard was there an intent behind that from the beginning to kind of, and I think you touched on it a bit when you said you wanted to make a movie without traditional jump scares. Was there an intent to try to manipulate the viewer in that way?
For sure, man. I mean, in terms of subtext, we're both super big on morals and messages, and being able to convey them with a compelling story is what Rich and I always strive to do. And we didn't want to write a typical horror film with, like we said, with a bunch of jump scares and just one layer to it. We wanted to do something different, and with multiple layers and subtext. And we're both huge fans of Tarantino, and taking inspiration from him, and really emphasize those long, drawn out, dramatic scenes, and definitely hone in on revealing the threat at the beginning of those scenes too. So, you know, to keep the viewer on the edge of their seat, to keep them invested, and we think we've achieved that well with this one, and which particularly, again, without any spoilers, the dinner scene, which was massively important to us. And
and I think we're big fans of kind of classic horror where they use, you know, like The Shining and Alien and stuff, and lots of people are like, oh, nowadays, like, Alien's boring, it doesn't get started. And I'm like, are you kidding me? The whole film is pure dread. Like, from beginning to end, it's just building tension. Yes, you don't get the first kill till 40 minutes in, but it's not about that. It's about this looming tension, and that's kind of we're big fans of that, and I feel it's something that might have been lost, but I think it is on the comeback because you got people like Ari Aster kind of coming back in, and his stuff's very looming, and you've got to wait, and you've got to earn it. Do you know what I mean? Type of thing, and that was planned from the beginning, and even we had not debates, but we had discussions with the producers and stuff, and they were like, we love where you're going with it, but is it going to sell? Because people kind of are unsure on kind of these little bits of weights and stuff like that, but it all, we know it pays off, but do you know what I mean? Like, and so we've had little bits of debates on that, but we've kind of stuck to our guns because we believe in those types of films. That's what we grew up on, and that's what we're passionate about. We're not fans of our opening scene and, like we said, just killing someone who you don't care about. You're never going to see him again. You're like, well, there's a bit of blood. Like violence doesn't affect you if you don't care. And that's something I've noticed. I watched a couple of horrors recently, and people are like, the most violent film ever. And it's like, yes, it was, but it didn't affect me because I didn't care about any of the characters. Yeah. It's just red stuff going everywhere. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and I think that there's something to that. And I'm glad that we're with Dark Sky, and they truly believe in what we're doing, and they've echoed what we believed and what we went into it believing back to us without us talking about it. And they said, this is what we believe about your film. We're like, that's exactly what we wanted. So that's perfect. And they're on the same vibe, and they're a good family to be with.
I thought this film had a good balance because I like slow burn horror. I watch a lot of films that are slow burn, and a lot of them they're slow burn the entire length of the movie, and then you might get a really cool payoff at the end. But this one I thought paid off throughout the movie, which I thought was brilliant. It was a nice balance between that slow burn, but you're still getting payoffs throughout. So that was great.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
It's a game of two halves for sure, I think.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, this one, the pacing on this was. I mean, not to sound like I'm just kind of telling you, but I mean, it was like almost a perfection in the way this was paced. Like, just as you were kind of maybe like an inkling in your head says what's going to happen, boom, you're hit with something, and then it goes back to like this, like a slow, and then back again, and it just. And I watched it twice, and I want to watch it a third time, actually, because I do want my wife to see this so she can see what I keep talking about. But, but yeah, I mean, it's just, it was so brilliantly done. I mean, I think that, like Tim and I were saying, like, we do love the slow burn horror, but when it pays off repeatedly, that's, I think, more of a rarity, because a lot of times, like Tim said, it is a slow burn, and it's good, and then it pays off at the end, but yours paid off multiple times, which I think is really cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. That's really nice to hear. Thank you.
So, I guess, okay, so this, I'm going to warn, I don't know how much we're going to keep on the pod. We'll have to let Tim, might be doing some crafty editing of this, but I'm going to warn people, if this is all on here, please, if you have not seen this movie, you may want to hold off on this interview, because I don't know what's going to come out in this scene, but we have to talk. So yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, pause it, watch the movie, come back.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Big spoiler alert here, because we need to talk about the dinner scene. And because, wow, I mean, I still, there is not, I mean, this is, I have a feeling is going to be one of those scenes when the masses start to see this movie that people are going to talk about it and say, you have to see this movie. You have to see this. You have to see this scene. And at some level, it's like you almost hope it doesn't get out too early, because you don't want people to
That's our fear, not to sound bad. That is our fear, because I do think the big payoff of this is not knowing. And I do think and that is the fear. But we knew, we even in the behind the scenes, when you watch it, the behind the scenes come out on the DVD and stuff, we even say, today we're shooting that scene, the one that this film is going to be known for, because we knew as soon as pen to paper, even when we hadn't fully realized what the whole film was, that this was the scene. Do you know what I mean? So, and we had to go full bore with it. We couldn't go half-assed with it. Like, there was talk about, do we cut it down? Do we make it a bit more family friendly? It was like, hell no, we can't. We can't.
Yeah, you gotta keep.
No, you didn't.
Just so we're on the same page, we're talking about when she's cutting the onions, right?
That's the one.
That's
Yeah.
the one.
Okay, good.
You need
Yeah,
someone.
and by the way, I have got slightly better at cutting onions.
Okay. I was gonna say because I mean I don't know what they're putting in on the pheasant or not, but it's you might want a little bit tighter cut.
We were laughing when she was doing that because she just grabbed the knife by the blade and just started cutting while holding the blade, and we were just there going, "Oh my gosh!"
Literally said we were like, Sam, do it as. I don't want to say that word, but
Yeah, you should do it as if you
can.
were a Neanderthal that had never seen an onion or a knife before.
Yeah,
And I was like, all respect to Neanderthals, but they probably didn't grow onions.
Yeah.
So and they didn't have but with
Or they at least they didn't have chopping boards.
yeah. So we
That was
call
just
action on it. We call action on it, and Sam starts chopping, and it's like 6 a.m, and everyone's completely wired, whatever, and she starts doing it.
We just
And it lifts everyone's spirits because we just start cracking up just watching the monitor, and we're like, "That's perfect."
Yeah, that's
Sam.
it.
Great,
That's it.
done."
It's just like
And with Lucy face on, being like, "Don't laugh." Also, don't cry. Onions. I think that was probably the one time it was harder not to cry because
and to chop your fingers off, right?
Yes.
Yes.
See, I was a little tense there. I was worried about
they're fine.
that. Well, so one of the things. So I have like 2 parts to this question I want to have. Is the first one for Adam and Richard is part. So I know Richard, you're DOP, right?
Yeah.
So like that. I just think that the cinematography on that shot alone is amazing because you managed to capture like I mean you literally, like you said earlier, that you like doing things where the audience sees everything and but like the characters don't, and I have to say I really don't think I've ever seen such an effective use of that because you literally have Jack and Lucy's character, they're sitting there the way they are without trying to say a spoiler, just with the look and the faces, and nobody notices it. And rightly so, because of the dialogue that's being said and what's going on and the heaviness, the emotional heaviness of that scene. And and it's like almost like kind of like an uneasy chuckle because I'm like, I'm looking at the face that Samantha had on her character. And I'm just like, what, why is no one else seeing this? What's going on? And it just goes and it's like I know I keep talking about this, but it was just such an expertly crafted scene. I was like how many times did you work on trying to get that shot like that? Because it's really just
which shot are you on about? Which one?
Just all the different shots in there. How you see all the stuff going on, and you see Jack and Lucy's character just doing their thing to the side. So you get that. It's just like a regular. Seems like a regular dinner shot.
That's just a wide. We kind of had to. We told the cast for that one scene, it didn't matter about the others, but that one scene, we said, learn it like a play, because we've got to run this from beginning to end. And so we did the whole scene up until the point as one take on a wide, and then we did it individuals. But it had to flow because we didn't have time to be, right now you say your line, now you say your line. It had to flow, it had to have organicness. There's food being thrown, there's little things like that.
We had to split it into three.
There was
stages,
3 points just because of resetability of mess and stuff we had to run up to. But yeah, I think the main thing that we decided on when we were writing and we did a concept trailer, which is not very good, but it was just an idea to try and get funding. And it had that shot in with the cameras up here and just peaks below the table and then pops back up and carries on. And it's just like, that was, I think even when we were writing the script, we knew that shot was going to be in there.
Totally. And very early on as well. It was always going to be at the point it was.
I think the cinematography of that scene was the most we were sure on before we went into shooting. There was so much that we had to cut out cinematography-wise, which is frustrating. I always say we've basically got a film of safety shots. Do you know what I mean? Because we had so little time. The whole film was shot in 10 days. And we had all these shot lists and we were like, right, we've got all the safeties. We can make a film here. But now we have to move on to the next scene because we've actually run out of time. We're like, but all the sexy shots we had planned, it's like, I have to cut them. And it was soul destroying, but I don't think it's been a negative to the film. Hopefully.
No, I think I know I haven't seen these shots, but I can't imagine it like making that scene any better. It is just like incredible. So now this one's to Neal and Samantha. So how did you what was the inspiration you used for that scene? Like how, I mean, I know your characters are kind of like that from the moment you arrive at the house, but like that scene in particular, it seems to start to, you can kind of see it elevating slowly and slowly and slowly, but yet you don't lose anything from the other scene. So like, how did you try and like stay at a certain level? Was it conscious?
We had a chat about this, about me and Sam on set. We're going, so what are we thinking while we're doing this? And if you actually look closely at what we're actually staring at, I mean, it's quite harsh what we were talking about.
Well, I mean, staring at or I mean, we did. I think we did. Sorry to interrupt you, Neal, but like
that's okay.
We did the first big master shot of everything, and then I think we said, What were you going at? What were you looking at? What were you thinking? Thing.
We because if you look, and I see it all the time in the trailer, so it's not really giving anything away. When the dinner scene is happening with the family, you can see that myself and Sam, the looks we've got on us. Sam can tell you yours and hers in a minute, but we were just focusing on one thing, and what I was focusing on is obviously these people are feeding off other people, and they're obviously hosts to us, and it was their weaknesses. So I'm not gonna say what that was, but if you clock the trailer and see, we're just staring at something in particular, or I am anyway. Sam, you can say yours, but
I mean that scene, I mean, apart from when we come into the house together, and obviously it's kind of Christmas time, you're welcoming someone in, you wouldn't necessarily notice if they're a bit off color, because you've already got dinner on the go, you're trying to be a good host, you're like, oh, come in, have this, have that, kind of like fussing. So it kind of makes sense that until that point we've still been like sussing out what we're gonna do. But in that dinner scene, it's the first time where there's any sort of stillness, even though the family is still, they're still going on and they're having all their family jokes and stuff, which is, I hate to say it, it's really lovely.
It's great, but that's what makes that scene so amazing, is that like you have like the.
I'm so sorry, Hendersons.
There's next level of intensity there with what we were going for of that complete. I mean, Sam completely nails it. I mean, I do obviously sort of leave that bit, but the nailing of that, just what she's focusing on and what we're both focusing on before the point is it's before that we're a bit like, what's going on, what's all this, and it's all new to us as the characters. But it's that was fun to just sit and watch and say, as an actor, that's great, just to sit and watch everything take place, minimal with nothing to say is the greatest acting job you can ever get, because you don't have to learn lines.
I remember when we were on the monitor,
the other guys do like such a lovely, like, even though they're sort of taking the piss out of each other, they're doing such a lovely family thing, and we're there just sort of soaking it all up and just not being part of it, but we are present. Do you know what I mean? It's evil. I think sometimes it's easier to go from super, super lovely to super, super evil, rather than just being evil all the time. And having people beside you being super lovely, especially little Buddy, who was the cutest little actor, having something so nice beside you makes it easy to be horrible.
I remember we were sat there, like, we had a big monitor watching the scene, and I remember we were watching the wide, and I remember you were kind of like, and I was like transfixed, and I was like, what's that? And he was like, and he just pointed at Sam, and you just see her like, it was just as it's building and the talk's going on, and I'm like, I've never just focused on this one person, just seeing this elevation of character coming into play, and we were like, that's perfect.
Yeah, like, right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like, and you start to like, you see as an audience, I mean, you guys are close to it, but like, I don't know, I could speak for Tim if he feels similar, but like, to me, that's when you really start to draw your eyes away from like the happy stuff going on and the emotional stuff, and then you start looking, you're like, kind of like, oh crap, something's gonna happen now. Like she is not.
You're just waiting for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you guys have any other little cool, funny stories that happen on the set? We usually like to give the filmmakers a chance to tell their funny stories.
I'm sure there's a few.
There's plenty. I mean,
there's plenty of funny stories. It was a whole laugh. The whole shoot really. It was a delirium like laughter and stuff. I mean,
yeah, sort of filming overnight for a few days. After day 3, everyone just sort of doesn't quite know what's the ceiling and what's the floor anymore. Everything's a bit like, where am I?
There is well, it's not funny. It wasn't funny at the time, but it is a funny story. We're okay with the spoilers still? Can we just warn people for a little bit of spoilers again?
Yeah. We're going to also do a major spoiler warning. I mean, probably when this is released, it will be after the movie's available anyway. So there's a good chance, and we'll start promoting it ahead of time, saying, "Hey guys, watch this," so you can really hear our interview. So
yeah, sweet. So yeah, the big scene for me near the end, involving knife play.
Oh my god, I almost forgot about that for a second. I was going to get to that too. Wow.
so yeah, the funny story is obviously creatively as an actor and a performer for that. We've obviously Rich and Adam trying to sort of discuss how to make this as best as we possibly could and make it original and different and shocking as well, and also as disturbing as possible. The way we had to do that scene was involving a completely fake knife with said characters, and then using a complete dummy put in with a real knife. So putting those two together, I decided to obviously make stuff quite frantic and a stabbing that you would never see or have never seen on screen before or whichever, to make it interesting and different, not just the typical meat. I wanted it to be next level. So my creative choice on that was, I can do this like that and it'll be really great. So straddling over the prosthetic with a real 12-inch knife. Bang, 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 bang. Richard's behind the camera. Adam's behind the monitor. Like bang, 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 bang. I just completely mistimed it and stuck it in my leg.
Oh no.
And it was, fuck, it's in my leg. It's in my leg. It's in my leg.
Oh, no.
So Richard was just behind the camera going, yeah, that's great. That's great. That's good. And I'm like, no. Oh my God, it's in my leg. And then like Adam just came out of nowhere like, oh my God, mate, you all right? Come in, sit down. And then I got sat down and there was like straight through the trousers and blood piddling down my leg. And I'm going a bit faint by this point. And next thing, Adam just comes back into the room while I'm sat on a chair with my leg up and just sort of holds my hand and looks at me and goes, are you okay? I love you, mate. And then, it was, we carried on shooting, obviously, because I'm a badass. But,
will that be in the deleted scenes? Will they?
I don't know.
Ooh.
Maybe like the 10-year anniversary. Who knows?
Yeah, insurance may have a problem with that if they see that right here.
Well, in America, yeah. But yeah, so that was my funny. It's funny now. It's hilarious because it was my own fault. So.
And also, like during the rest of the shoot, I kept like, if I made a joke and no one was laughing, I'd slap you to like be like, "Hey, am I right?" And I kept slapping you on it.
Yeah, especially my knee, which I had one
wrong leg.
It was one stitch, but it felt like I'd lost my leg.
You were Mr. Injury as well. We had the antlers that you've got behind you, and they were quite low on the wall. And the amount of people just walked into them and just had holes in their head.
Oh, yeah. Lucky for me, it was just under my eye. And I was just like...
People just kept walking into the antlers, and it's like, guys, just look, there's antlers there.
Oh, my God.
I think everybody got antlered.
It was the initiation process. Yeah.
Good thing I was not on the set. Tim was telling you, I am one of the klutziest people on there. I'd probably be impaled on it.
You wouldn't have made it. If you
no, I would have never made it.
Can I tell Brian? Can I tell your? Brian, can I tell your infamous example of your clumsiness?
Of course. I mean, we've told it on the show before, so we should at least share with our new friends here.
So I actually witnessed this. I saw Brian was changing in a bathroom stall,
He wasn't watching me change.
I wasn't watching me change. I was in the other stall.
He was in the other stall.
We know how this works, guys. We know how it works.
He fell out of the bathroom stall and into the adjacent bathroom stall where another person was changing. So he's the only person I've ever known that's actually fallen from one bathroom stall into another. It was amazing.
Yeah, I just remember the person's reaction, because what they must have felt like, all of a sudden they just see a pair of legs come through, thrusting through into their stall out of nowhere. But yeah,
it is physically possible.
Like Jim Carrey style kind of stuff.
If I could make a living off it, forget it. I'd be like.
The scene from Dumb and Dumber in the toilet cubicle comes to mind.
This one, I think this has got to be my most famous now. I mean,
and
what I wish I could say that's actually my only bathroom incident. I will tell this one, because this one actually ends up in blood. I don't know if I've told you this, Tim, but I went into, I think it was it was a Walmart or Target or something, and I was in a stall, and somehow, I don't know what it was, but I dropped something fell out of my pocket. And because I'm a little bit of a germaphobe, I'm like sitting there trying to figure out a way to bend down and pick it up with the least amount of touching. And I lost my balance and slammed my head into the toilet paper thing. So I was like, oh man, that really hurt. And I go out to the thing to wash my hands, and I just see, I look like Carrie. I was like, blood was just pouring down my face.
No.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop on the forehead.
Yeah. So it's like, so now you guys know way too much about me.
They just keep going, like.
Yeah, I was like
the wrestlers doing it, slit it.
That's what it reminded me of, like, those Ric Flair matches where he's like,
But the whole film was kind of a just problem solving. Everything was going wrong. We had for when Nadia or I always forget their actual character's name.
I know, I've been flipping back and forth too. I apologize.
The shot where Lauren gets pulled down the corridor by her hair, she's in the chair. We actually fixed a skateboard to the bottom of the chair, and we were so short on crew. It was so shoestring that the composer built this contraption, the chair.
Benjamin Simons,
and he put the wheels on this chair, and it was like, yes, it's great. And I I was like Captain Undersight with stuff. You see it in the behind the scenes. I'm like, that's going to break instantly. And everyone's like, nice, it's going to be fine. As soon as she sat in it, it was like, just the wheels snapped straight off. And then it was like,
thing about
great. And then the problem was we kind of scheduled the whole shoot, and we had this other actor playing Eric's part, and we had another actress who was playing Sam's part before that were cast.
Yeah.
And both of them pulled out 2 days before the shoot, and we'd scheduled it all because the actor we had was kind of like very demanding, and I'm only available on this day and only available on this day. And it meant that we'd scheduled it the producers had scheduled it so that a lot of the bloodiest scenes in the house were actually shot before the clean scenes in the house. But it was too late to kind of change it because we booked everyone in and they've got their time scheduled and stuff. And we were like, we're going to have to keep it the same. So we managed to recast, and we're so glad we did because we got the best people we could have done for this film. They were just amazing, especially like Sam, just like she came in her first day. She got hired the day before and then had to come in the next day and shoot 19 pages of dialogue.
Wow.
On her first day. So she had to learn that off book in one day, and that was
I thought it was a comedy.
I didn't even read the script.
There's a scene, I'm sure you might remember, there's a scene when in the corridor when blood just goes up everywhere, and that took a couple of takes, so there was just literally blood everywhere. And then we were like, right, what's tomorrow? It's like, oh, it's just a nice back when the house is nice and clean in the corridor. And I'm like,
no one's sleeping tonight.
Everyone went back. Then there's me and Adam and one of the producers, Gillen, and we were just there scrubbing the set, painting it back, and it was just horrific. There was blood absolutely everywhere. And I'm like, I am never murdering someone in my house because it's hard to clean. Like it was just impossible. But we managed to clean up even the carpet with the infamous trail. We had to get that back, like clean it all out and everything. It was like absolutely. I'm like, why do we have it in this order? But, yeah, it's because of this. actors.
Bloody actors.
Yeah, I need a hotel. No, you don't. You're in the caravan park like the rest of us.
Well, you got lucked out getting Sam though, because you were amazing in that role. So
Totally.
So that, yeah, and that's why we were actually glad, because originally when we were gonna just talk to Richard and Adam, I was like, oh, we got to talk about how great the cast was. So I'm glad you and Neal could come on, because that was that's actually we love. When we get to talk about it, as you could tell, we're excited, but it makes it so much easier when we get to talk about a film that we really loved. Because you don't want to ever. And not that we've really had many experiences where
not really.
We've gotten really lucky on that front, but this one too. Like Tim, texted me right away after he saw it. He goes, "Did you watch it yet? I cannot wait to talk to them." I'm like, so I was like,
Nice.
Well, it's quite easy to get us all on a call because we're all like best buds, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know. I was gonna say, I'm having such a good time. We need to just keep doing this weekly. Forget about the movie.
I'm down with that, man.
We'll just hang out.
You get me a bit.
So Tim, I don't know
maybe
where we
you can
are.
find me an American agent over there. That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind one.
Oh,
they faked us
oh,
out.
I'm in my pants. What are you doing?
Wow, they did. They faked us out, Tim. I didn't
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You've got to run into Sam now.
Wait, is Samantha gonna drop down from the ceiling now? She's gonna just appear out of it. Yeah.
What would be good is if I run in and kiss one of these guys. That would be just.
That would really freak me out.
I don't know if we have the effects budget, but we'll try. Yeah. Oh my God, Tim! Do we know anybody? We got to get them all over to come hang out here in the States. Just not.
That would be amazing, man. That'd be so.
Well, we'd have hopefully have been out there if it wasn't for the
COVID
pandemic, because we were hoping to get into a couple of American festivals, or at least one, and it all they've all stopped. So
or the Montreal one, didn't that go ahead? But it was also a virtual one. And
yeah, that was online. The Fantastic Fest, right?
Yeah, we wanted to. That was on the list, I think, but then it was just not happening. So
TIFF was another one.
I love me some Texas.
Yeah, TIFF was a good one as well, but they got back to us and said they're really sorry. Like, they loved the film, but they said they had to reduce by 50% the amount of films they were showing. We're like, oh man, TIFF.
That'd have been the best. That would have
been amazing, but yeah. And Fright Fest has just been cancelled now today, and we're
not got our UK premiere, but
is it going to go online though?
It's still online, so you can still watch it. But it's a pain we don't get to have our premiere in a cinema.
Yeah, it's kind of a slightly different vibe about all being there together. Like, not necessarily about having the photos, but all having an event to go to and sort of like mark it. So like, okay, it's out now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And we haven't had a chance with all the cast and crew in the same room since we finished shooting, and it would have been really nice kind of bow on the end of the process, I guess.
Exactly.
But no, I just want to say thank you to you guys, because this is we've literally just come off one past podcast onto this, but this is the first ones we've had, and it's the first feedback we've had other than our friends and the distribution and stuff about the film, and a couple of other distributors, but first distribution or friends and family feedback. And the fact that you guys like it is awesome, because I'm terrified of the release date.
You should not.
This is a pile of crap, because you never know what it is. You never know what you got when you direct a film.
No, I mean,
is it good? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this is just me and Tim saying this, but I could say you should go forward with like full confidence that I think the horror community will just absorb this in. Yeah. I mean, I'd be really stunned if they didn't. This is definitely, we've gotten lucky that I say the last couple of months we've seen such amazing things. This is definitely at the top of that list. I mean, I can't like Tim will even tell you I have he calls it my monolith, which is my big wall of Blu-rays. This, like, the second I saw this, I said, all right, this is going on there as soon as it's available.
I'm just begging that they do Blu-ray. We don't know yet. I'm like,
I know some don't always do that, huh? They do.
I don't want to shoot in 4K and then get a 420p version of it. Like, that's not what I want.
Well, as long as you give one to me and Tim, that's all we care. Even if it's custom made. Yeah. It's so funny, Tim. Half all the remaining questions, pretty much, we all just got answered in natural discussion. It's kind of cool, but But I guess the best thing to do, I guess, is if you just want to tell us all where you can people can find the movie when it comes out, like where you guys, if they follow you on social media and stuff. I think we got all of you. We followed you all, I think so.
Yeah. Well,
not all of you followed back, but
so we got okay. So the film comes out in North America and Canada on October the 2nd. It comes out on DVD November the 11th, I believe, and you can pre-order it now. If you want to follow the film, it's Facebook.com/host movie, Twitter @hostsmovie, Instagram @hosts_movie. And we're all connected to that, so you can find us, or if anyone else wants to say their Twitter handles and Insta handles, go for it.
Yeah, and if you also want to follow our future work, we work together under the banner of Dark Fable Media, which is also our YouTube channel that talks about cinematography. If you want to learn how to not do cinematography, go and check that out. And so that's Dark Fable Media and Twitter handle @DarkFableMedia.
Well, yeah, and we'll put all this in the show notes too, Tim, when he releases it. So we'll make sure that everyone can follow this stuff. So,
cool. Also, you can pre-order some merch right now, today, on hostmovie.bigcartel.com.
And finally, Neal and Sam, Instagram, Twitters.
Okay. So on Instagram, I would be Samantha_Loxley. But before you follow me, I would recommend following Dark Fable Media.
Look.
Neal?
And if you want to find me, I'm on Instagram at Nealy. So Nealy, not Neily. So Nealy. And Twitter is @NealWard. Nice and simple.
Also, Neal's hilarious. Follow him.
Follow him above everyone else.
Yeah.
I think Samantha, everyone's going to follow you. They want to stay on your good side. Trust me. You'll see. Everyone's going to be like,
He will kill you.
I think you need it.
A tiny brand of shortbread biscuit hammers coming out, everybody.
Can
with your English tea.
Can I suggest a cool one-off shirt? Like maybe you just keep it within the community. You guys should have one where it shows Samantha with the thing and say the real Hammer films. That's what I think you should do.
That's a cool idea, man. That is a very cool idea.
I think you guys should do that. Just give it, amongst yourself, a little in-joke with that, with you guys.
I'm a horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, horror.
Really
That's
cool idea, man.
Or if I get the tattoo, maybe everyone can sign it. I don't know.
So guys, thank you so much for coming on. This was awesome. We had the best time, and we are going to make sure that the word gets out on this film because this is something that I know our listeners will love, and I think just the horror world will embrace it. So Richard, Adam, Neal, Samantha, thank you so much for coming on. You guys are awesome.
Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's been awesome.
It's been amazing. Cheers, guys.
All right. Take care, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, Brian, I don't know what it is, how we keep meeting such fantastic people and just getting lucky with all these interviews, but I can't think of a single interview we've done where I haven't just really enjoyed it on some level. And these guys were just fantastic to spend that much time with us and talk about this project. And I can't say enough nice things about how cool everybody was and how much fun that interview was.
Yeah, I didn't want it to end. We couldn't get it to end because we kept having so much fun. It's like even after we were done, we figured we kind of there's always that point where we cut off. We're like, okay, done, with the interview portion. But then we just started chatting, and then we next thing you know, it's 40 minutes later than that, and it's it's just there's such a awesome group of people that we had too much fun talking to them, and it's we could have gone on another hour. I mean, I know, yes, I talk a lot, so for me that's not much of a challenge, but
I always love meeting people from overseas too, because I want to go over there so bad, and it's I love their accents. I love everything.
I know
they're always so cool.
Oh God, they and this group was the epitome of what we love about talking with people from across the pond.
Yeah, we love our UK friends for sure.
Yes.
All right, guys, so let's get right into our beer pairing for hosts.
Yes. Now, so this might be one of the rare beer pairings that could have be a bit of a spoilerish. But if you see a lot of the promo work and especially the T-shirt that they're advertising, you can see that there is a hammer in it. Yes. So we'll let you figure out on your own why that's important. But anyway, the beer pairing I found was Velvet Hammer from Pitacola's Brewing Company out of Dallas, Texas. It's 9% ABV. And so here's a description. The Hammer is an imperial red ale that appears as a dark, ruby reddish brown ale beneath a sheath of protective off-white foam. It's malt forward with elements of caramel and the sweetness of light brown sugar, balanced nicely by a combination of floral hops and noticeable alcohol bite. It's sturdy brew with a smooth character, which belies both an inner strength and a slightly full body, along with a moderate bitterness to round out the taste. Does that sound delicious?
Well, 9% too. It's not playing around.
I know, that's strong. And actually, it's funny, as I was reading it, a lot of the description points are perfect for this movie as a pairing.
Yes.
It's like the balance back and forth. So you will see that, though.
Yes.
So,
all right, so let's get to our triple threat. Last week, we were looking for an actor or actress. And I don't know if did anybody get this one right, Brian? We had a lot of guesses.
We had a lot of wrong guesses, actually.
Yeah. Well, it's going to take some time for them to rev back up after our summer vacation.
We kind of got them off their game. So,
all right. So, clue number 1: in order to begin my acting modeling career in New York City, I had to forego a full ride sports scholarship. So the answer was Andy Matichak. Andy graduated from St. Francis High School 1 year early and forewent a full-ride soccer scholarship to attend the University of South Florida, instead moving to New York City to pursue modeling and acting. Clue number 2, in a 2019 film, I shared a scene with myself. Andy starred in Assimilate, where her character was chased by a creature who was a replica of herself.
That's a pretty decent movie, by the way.
I haven't seen
that yet. I think it's on. It might be on Netflix or Prime. It's on one of the streaming services currently. But I had actually purchased the Blu-ray of it when I saw it was coming out because it was a good sale, so I grabbed it and I heard good things about it. It's kind of fun. It's like Body Snatcher-esque. Little things like that. So.
And clue number 3, this is the clue I thought would give this one away for people. I once played a descendant to one of the all-time Final Girls, because there's not that many movies where there's a descendant of a Final Girl.
Right.
And it's, of course, Andy played Allison, granddaughter of Laurie Strode in 2018's Halloween, along with the upcoming Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. So yes. I thought for sure that would give it away, but we had some.
Yeah, I think people went through and kind of almost missed that clue in a weird way. It's like they misread or misheard that last clue, maybe, is what it is. And I think they misinterpreted what we were looking for. But like you said, they're out of practice. That's all.
Yeah. We'll give you another shot here with this next one. And I think you can get this one. This one's, I would say, moderately easy.
Yeah, I think this is a softball.
But, I think it's a softball. Okay, so we're looking for another actor or actress. Clue number 1. I started my career on a show that at the time was a very popular musical kids show. So, musical kids show. Clue number 2. I was sometimes credited with my middle name as my first. And clue number 3. I starred in the first 2 movies of a popular horror franchise, yet I bowed out of the last installment.
Yeah, I think this is an easy one.
This one you guys should be able to get. All right, so now we come to our fan topic foo, and this one I'm excited about, Brian, because this is a completely non-horror question.
I know, so all the horror fans will be like, ugh.
Yeah, they're gonna. This is where the non-theme park fans turn the podcast off. But this is a heavily theme park question and definitely a coaster nerd question.
Yes.
So another one, from David McHugh, Horror Mailman on Twitter. Would you rather only ride RMC coasters or only ride B&M and Premier rides? I've got a ready answer for this one.
Okay, I'll let you go first because I'm still trying to cultivate the way I want to say mine.
Okay, well, number 1, I haven't ridden all the RMCs by any means. I haven't ridden all the B&Ms by any means either. But for me personally, I would go B&M all the way because of coasters like Fury. I love Giga coasters. I love hyper coasters. I love the biggest and tallest you can get. RMCs are fun, but RMCs are traditionally more of your wood steel type hybrid coasters, and they have a lot of cool elements, and they do a lot of cool things that a traditional B&M is not normally going to do. But just in terms of what I love to ride, I could ride Fury 325 all day long. I absolutely love the tall, fast, airtime, blah, 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 blah. I love those kind of coasters more than anything. Now, I will say that I have been on some RMC coasters, and and they're perfectly fine and they're fun, but none of them have blown me away in the same way that certain B&M rides have.
Yeah, so I've been this one's a little tricky for me, I think. So I have actually, I was able to get on Steel Vengeance, which everyone is saying is the best of the RMCs. And while I was, I had a slight bit of disappointment on it, it still was incredible. I actually was able to get on Lightning Rod. I've been on a number of RMCs, and actually it's fun. Now see, when you ride more of them, I don't know if your answer would have been as easy to pick, even though I know, listen, Tim and I, Tim's Fury is his favorite coaster, and it's my favorite steel coaster. But the Raptors, those those little tight.
I have not ridden
the
those.
new one I wanted to go on. Of course, a Great Adventure didn't come out, but I'd been on Railblazer at Great America, where it has it's that small little same thing as the Wonder Woman Raptor, and the new one coming to that other park, which I forgot. And I know all our coaster friends are like, "Oh my God, guys, come on!"
Well, we've been out of practice too.
I haven't been to a theme park all year. Give me a break,
Yeah.
But I still think so. And I am definitely a big wooden coaster person. Like my favorite coaster overall is Boulder Dash. I can't even say it. Boulder Dash at Lake Compounds. And then I, of course, right below that is the Legend and Voyage. It's like I've just become a major wooden coaster connoisseur. I used to be a steel. However, while the people will say, well, then you should love RMC better. I like Tim do love some of the good air times. I think one of my, and if I go think back to my highlights of my favorite coaster moments, besides the wooden coasters, the other ones have been on B&Ms. Like that first time you you picked a seat for me on Intimidator at the Carowinds. I remember you're like, no, this is the seat you got to go in. When we hit that crest of that first, coming up after the first drop and coming up to that hill, the pop out I got on that thing was insane, and it's just, you can get so many cool, if a B&M hyper is done right, there's just there's very few coasters that can rival it, and Fury took it to an amazing new level when they went to the Giga, and it's just. I still remember one of my best rides ever was that night ride front row on Fury at the Coaster Radio meetup, where that thing, I swear to God, I mean, I know, what is it, 92 miles an hour is technically the clock. That thing felt like 112. They felt like there is no way on earth. This thing, the ride went through the circuit, I think, almost faster than it was intended. I swear to God, we were back and because it's supposed to, the ideal, remember, it was supposed to be at 3 minutes and 25 seconds. That was what they wanted, but it just goes too fast. I swear to God, I think we beat 3 minutes.
Oh God, I know you did.
So fast. And that was just incredible. And there are just some amazing rides in that. And my other one was that one I told you about with Nitro, where it was a late night at Great Adventure. It was wintertime. And there was this mist and cold. And I remember I had my glasses on. And my glasses fogged up going up the lift hill. Now, I've been on that ride a million times. But, and I know it by heart, basically. But, when you get disoriented, even a ride you've been on multiple times, you could kind of get you get a little thrown off. And when we went down that first hill, I just remember there was this giddiness and this you felt literally like I wasn't even in the car anymore. It was just floating because it was dark. You couldn't see anything. And my glasses were fogged up. And there was a mist in the air from the rain and the cold. And it was just, and I came back just oh my God, that was one of the best rides I've ever been on anywhere. It's there's just those magical coaster moments that you can get, and I think you just get them more on a B&M type ride. I know we just kind of didn't mention Premiere at all, but which was the second part. But
and also the other thing about B&M is you're going to get, to me, a lot more variety. Because B&M makes some fantastic other kinds of coasters. You got the great Busch Gardens coasters like Alpengeist. You got Wild Eagle, you got Thunderbird, those types of coasters that you're not. I mean, I don't know what other types of coasters RMC builds, but the only RMCs I've ever seen are the ones that are basically like, conversions.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, you might I think you'll really like those new.
I'm sure they're fun. I'm sure I will.
Yeah, no, but you'll probably like the new, like the Raptors, the RMC Raptors, but because I think they're really tight and intense. And that's why I was so excited to try Jersey Devil, and of course through with COVID, it didn't work. But I mean, well, here's another one, Tim. You got to remember, one of your favorites was a premiere, which is the Revenge of the Mummy coaster. So I
just don't have a lot of experience with those, which is going to color my.
Yeah, I know, and this is, and I do love RMCs. Like I did like Steel Vengeance, a lot. I loved Lightning Rod. I loved Outlaw Run. And it's funny. It's like Wicked Cyclone grew on me a little bit more, even though it's like people absolutely loved that, and I was still like, and I remember Julie and I went on Media Day for that, and it was like it was early on, and so I was like trucked it up to that. But when I went back and I went on it, I'm like, it's still okay.
I was looking through my list of premier coasters. The only ones I've been on are obviously Mummy, Tempesto at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I don't care about that.
Remember how good that was when we went on it that one night? Because it was the misty night air when you go on a coaster.
Yeah, don't get me wrong.
Everything great.
It's fun, but I'm not going to a park to ride Tempesto. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
And then you got, of course, Backlot Stunt Coaster. Again, it's okay, it's fun, but I'm not going to go. That's not a destination ride.
Right.
That's the only ones I've been on. I didn't even get to go on I did go on Flight of Fear at Kings Island.
Yeah, I was gonna say you had to have gone on that one, right?
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, that might be the only. But those don't compare to the great B&M rides I've been on by any means.
No, yeah, no. I mean, it's like you go on. Yeah, I mean, it's like you have like the best at your park.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. It's familiarity too. I mean, I'm sure if I had two like top tier RMC coasters in my backyard, my answer might be different. But I've got Fury and Afterburn, and
that's still that is my favorite. Although Alpengeist did grow on me, but that's my favorite invert is Top Gun. Afterburn. It used to be Top Gun, right? Like everyone else.
Yeah. So you got Fury 325, Intimidator, and Afterburn in one park. So you've got one of my favorite hypers, one of my definitely favorite Giga, and one of my favorite inverts in the same park. So yeah, it's hard to and those are the ones I've ridden. I've ridden those three coasters more than any other coasters in the world.
Yeah, you'll probably like Leviathan too if you ever make it up to Canada's Wonderland. That's another.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
it's a Giga, and it's like remember the one we went on at Kentucky Kingdom Storm Chaser? That was underwhelming to me. I mean, I had fun because it was a coaster, but it was.
Yeah, I was so excited because we went to it had just opened. They had just built that thing, and I was so excited. My first RMC, and I was like, I mean, it's fun. It's got a cool first drop where it kind of curves and spirals down, and you got some neat elements in there where you're kind of going upside down, and then like the back half, it's like they just threw in random bunny hops just to do something with the track. It was terrible. So I don't know. I wasn't very impressed with Storm Chaser, and that kind of soured me on RMCs. But the thing is, there's a lot of high profile RMCs I haven't been on that I really want to. I've never even been on Lightning Rod, which is ridiculous, but it was down so much. I've just never been there when it was open and running. So yeah, I don't know. It's when I look through the list of B&Ms, I've definitely ridden way more B&Ms than any other brand of coaster, and that's certainly going to color my answer. But I still think I would probably say the same thing even if I had ridden all the RMCs, just because there's so many that just have that nostalgia for me, and great memories, like going to the opening media day for Fury 325. I'll never forget that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, but it's a fun question. But to me, that one was fairly easy.
Yeah, no, and like I think, yeah. I hope you get on Outlaw Run just to get to Silver Dollar City #1, and of course back to Cedar Point to go on Steel Vengeance, which is
yes,
great.
I can't wait.
So, well, there we go. We got some coaster. Finally, that big coaster question that was coming.
We knew it was coming. We knew it was coming.
You knew it was there, but.
All right, so now we've bored half of our listeners from. Hey, you guys need to get out and ride some of these things. You won't be bored. I guarantee you. I can't wait till the parks open back up, and really, where you can really go and not feel like you're having kind of a hampered experience, because I've really missed going to the theme parks this year.
Yeah, it's this one's been tough. I mean, the good thing is my Great Adventure pass got extended for a year, so at least I'll be able to hit some of the Six Flags parks. It's not Great Adventure, sorry, just Six Flags.
I still want to do a big and I know we could go now, but it scares me with the COVID stuff, but because a lot of it's open. But I want to take the kids and do just a big Pigeon Forge trip, and do Dollywood and let them see the mountains, and do Pigeon Forge and do Gatlinburg, and just let them, just go tourist crazy. I would love that. I think they would have a blast, but it's still a little too much of a hot zone right now for me. Maybe late next year or 2022. We're looking towards that.
Yeah, and I'm going to get back to Universal and Disney and hopefully soon.
All right, guys, so we will see you back here next week. Got another great interview lined up for you guys, so be looking forward to that one, and we will see you soon.
Talk to you later.